Appreciate you spending a few minutes with me. Today, we're going to talk about foreign income. It's not been a big issue in the past, but it's becoming more and more important every year. As a matter of fact, would you believe this past week I've had 2 phone calls, one from someone who had income from Canada, and they were residing in the United States, another one from someone from a foreign country who had some real estate in the United States and sold it. 2 tax return preparers contacted me. So I felt it was important that we spend some time going over foreign income. Now, before I get started, I want you to be aware that, and by the way, you can see on the screen just quickly my background so you can get an idea of who I am, those of you who don't know me. I'm both an attorney and a CPA, and I've taught at the university levels for over 35 years. So my specialty is tax laws, and I try and stay current with the tax laws. Having said that, I've got a slide number 2, which is up on the screen, introduction. And before I get into the details on what's on the screen, I want to let you know that we're going to cover 3 different types of individuals that involve themselves with foreign income. First, obviously, we have residents of the United States. Okay, and if you have clients who are residents of the United States and they have income from foreign sources, I'll show you how that's got to be reported. Second, we have what is called resident aliens. That are individuals who are residents of a foreign country, but also reside here in the United States. And I'll show you how they have to report things. And by the way, the interesting thing, and just to mention this now because we'll get into it later, but it's an issue that came up this past 2 weeks ago. And I want to make sure you knew that. Obviously, if you're a resident of the United States and you're married, you can file a joint return. So residents of the U.S. obviously can file joint returns. You know this and I know that with a 1040. Well, if you're a resident alien and you're also filing taxes in the United States, because remember, the United States government says income, no matter where it's earned in the country, in the world, okay, if you have a connection to the United States, must report that income. So we have resident aliens. And resident aliens also, believe it or not, form a 1040 return. So if they're married, wanting to file a joint return, they can do that. Now we go to the 3rd type of individual, and that's a non-resident alien. Well, non-resident alien, someone from England or someone from Germany, from another foreign country that has income in the United States. For example, the people who contacted me recently, the tax return preparer, said he had individuals who had from a foreign country who owned some property in the United States and sold it. How do they report it? Well, those individuals, even though they're married, cannot file a joint tax return. Both spouses must file individual tax returns. They're 1040s, but they're non-residents tax return. They're called non-resident aliens. So we're going to cover all 3 of these types of individuals and income from these 3 types of individuals. So you'll notice on slide number 2, towards the bottom, I'm going to indicate that we're going to focus on claiming foreign income on individual tax returns, 1040s or in schedules, and there's special forms like the 8938 form. I'll get into these as we get into it. Foreign earned income, and there's some exclusions. As you are well aware, we have treaties with other countries. Also, some countries say, look, if you earn income in our country, we want to be taxed. We want to receive the tax money. Well, the United States will give you a credit for some of these things. So we all have forms. It's 2555. We'll get into that form. Then we have a foreign tax credit form specifically for taxes paid to another country where you want to take the credit. And I want you to be careful of this, because if you have clients who are from foreign countries that have to file taxes in the United States, but they also pay taxes in a foreign country, I want you to be aware that in addition, or I shouldn't say in addition, let me correct myself, separate from a foreign tax credit, the individuals filing a tax return in the United States could actually take a tax deduction. Now, logic says that a credit is more important than a tax deduction. There's always exceptions to the rule, and that is if the income is so low that the deduction may be worth it, it may wipe out the taxes and you don't have any problems. So be aware of that, okay? And obviously, as I indicated, the last 2 bullet points on slide 2 talks about resident alien tax returns, which I told you is a 1040, and then the non-resident alien ones, which is the 1040NR, and they also indicate 1040EZ, but you know that Congress now and the IRS want to get rid of and have gotten rid of the EZ return. We've mentioned it. And the reason I'm mentioning this, and I'm going to mention several items as we go through today that you may say, well, Bart, the law's changed. You remember back in December of 2017, Congress got rid of a lot of provisions of the old tax law and changed a lot of things going into 2018. Well, this program is for the 2020 tax return. And I want you to all to be aware, not just for this particular programs that you're going to hear in this entire series, I want you to be aware that Congress has changed some of the tax laws that we've had since 2018, and they've actually said some of the tax laws will now be retroactive to back to January 1st of 2018. Effectively, what Congress did in March of 2020 is they went ahead and reestablished some of the tax laws that they had eliminated as of January 1st of 2018. They've now put them back. So I'm going to cover some of those in this program and some of the other programs in this entire series. You're going to say, well, Bart, wait a minute. That's not law. Well, I'm telling you now, be careful. When you're dealing with filing a tax return for 2020, some of the taxes, tax laws, deductions and credits, and even a loss carryback for corporations is now allowed. Okay, so be cautious of this as you go through your 2020 tax returns in your 2020 tax return season. However, I want you to know that when you read and hear about these changes in the tax law that affects the 2020 tax return, Congress also said they made these tax laws in 2020 retroactive to 2018, which means you may want to go back and file amended tax returns for 2018 and 2019 because of these changes. All right, having said that, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk first about simple